Welcome to Abundance Unlocked, the cheat code to your well-rounded life. Meet your new money-savvy duo, one in real estate and the other in finance. Two powerhouse women keeping it authentic, raw, and relatable as they unpack what it really takes to build wealth, break generational cycles of brokenness, and design a lifestyle you don't need a vacation from.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, a 9-to-5 pro with big dreams, or a parent rewriting your family's legacy, this is your new go-to space for actionable game plans to make money, grow assets, and live abundantly.
This isn't just talk. It's strategy, it's mindset, it's real life receipts. Because abundance isn't just a goal, it's a birthright. Welcome to the Abundance Unlocked podcast. I am your girl, Rakia Tyler, a.k.a. the Millennial Agent.
And I am your girl, Tiana K. Johnson. And it's episode number 2.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. So we got a lot of good stuff for you guys today. And today's topic is the habits of the wealthy. We all want some form of wealth, right? Yes.
Yes.
And wealth can be money or wealth can be time, but there's still habits on how
Listen, wealth is a plethora of things. Wealth is whatever wealth is to you, honestly.
Mhm.
And we want to make sure, the first episode was about mindset. Now you have your mindset. Now you have to create habits with that mindset that's going to make you wealthy and,
Absolutely.
And unlock that abundance.
Yes. So one of the first questions is, how long does it actually take to create a habit? And I've heard a couple of different things. What did you say?
So many different things. So when we were in the same company, in my head it was like 66 days, 66-day challenge. I've heard 21 days to create a habit, 90 days. I think it's really dependent on who you are as a person. I know
agree.
for me, when I was on my journey of losing weight during COVID, one of the things I did to lose 40 pounds was I said, I got to get back in the habit. I used to be an athlete. You can do this, girl. But what were you doing that created that habit? You were doing it every day.
Mhm.
So I was working out every single day until it felt like a habit.
And that's exactly how I started. So in the beginning of the year, my church does a Daniel fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't include working out, and yet it's sustaining from, processed foods. It's just all fruits and vegetables. And at that time, me and my husband, we actually make sure that we create that habit around making sure we're eating clean
Mm-hmm.
and working out. So I decided, you know what, in addition to the Daniel fast, I was also going to work out every day. And the 21-day of working out is now March.
And
60
almost
something.
the end of March.
Yeah, so we almost at like 90 days. And it's a habit, so much so that yesterday I did not get my workout in. And I went to my office, and some of my my business partners, they was like, Tiana, what's going on? Something's different about you. And I was like, I didn't work out. Like, I'm sorry. I was aggravated. It was just
You
bad.
didn't get the energy out.
I didn't release those endorphins that I needed to get through the
Yeah.
day. There is no number.
I would say there's no number. So there's so many statistics out there. Like, I really feel like you should do it at least 21 days, right? At least give yourself 21 days to a month to create a habit. And one of the things that I always do to start creating my habits too is if it's not in your calendar, it does not exist. What's the saying?
That is it, right?
So at the end of the day, my calendar literally says work out.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes.
says meditation, because I also meditate every single day. It reminds me to meditate because some days I may forget to meditate. Like when I'm traveling, I may wake up and I'm like, I got to get to the airport. I may forget to do the things, but I have that reminder. So I think your calendar also helps with your habits. First thing we want to talk about are 5 things that the wealthy people do. So what is the first thing that you feel like as a wealthy person, because we're going to say we're all wealthy, right?
Yeah.
That wealthy people do.
They prioritize financial education. That is a priority. It's it's ever going. When you prioritize financial literacy, you never stop. You never stop. Being in the financial industry, I know that products, retirement vehicles, everything, it continues to change and it continues to evolve. Even for the Index Universal Life policy that I got when I was 23, that product has changed. They added things like disability and long-term care, riders. They changed the caps. Some of them are capped, some of them are not capped. So all those things, they're always changing. How to get business funding. those things, that's something that's my new that's the new thing that I'm studying for.
Mhm.
It's always a priority. So now I find different people on YouTube, or I find people who specialize in business funding and grants. It's a it's a learning experience, and it just keeps on going, and I prioritize it every single day. I am looking for the answers.
And I think that one of the reasons why a lot of people don't think about financial education as being a priority is because the education system hasn't made it a priority, right?
No.
So a lot of, rich dad, poor dad, a lot of people are learning from not school, right? A lot of people may have learned their financial wellness or financial downfalls or anything from their upbringing, right? It's
Yeah.
learned behavior. And so when we talk about education, it's not necessarily education in a classroom. Like you can educate yourself. Like I learned a lot on YouTube University. Okay.
Or at least go there for the confirmation. I think that
Right.
everybody needs some type of financial advisor. You need a
Exactly.
coach. When you're working out, I needed the accountability of a coach. I needed to understand what I need to do, what I need to eat. I need to have that foundation, and then I can build on it using YouTube or Instagram,
Right.
wherever
And
the resource is.
And I would say a lot of the wealth that I felt like I've been able to accumulate over time started when I was making that $33,000, right? Because I met with a financial advisor. I didn't have the limiting belief that, oh, I made $33,000. I can't create wealth, right?
Mhm.
You always hear about these stories of people come from nothing and they got somewhere. Like they had to start somewhere. Like
Yeah.
everyone doesn't start with a silver spoon in their mouth. So you have to have that belief that I can be financially free. I can build wealth. So I can go get that education. And sometimes the education is free. Like
It's free.
It's
It's free.
it's free.
I teach for free.
She teach for free.
Yes, I teach it for free.
For
But yeah,
free.
and you know what? The reason why it's a habit,
Mhm.
because as your income grows, right? Maybe today you're not where you want to be, but you see yourself somewhere else. I started off, remember, I think my first year of real estate, I sold one house. I sold one house my first year of real estate. To now, having two businesses. And what I now need when it comes to financial literacy is now I need tax advice. Because this is a new bracket for me where tax is where I need to be financially literate.
Right.
And then above that, when it's talking about scaling your business, now I need to understand how grants and business funding work. I can say that I am not an expert when it comes to that. So
There's
that
always
is
something to learn.
why that is why the wealthy prioritize it the way they do, because the levels change and the information that you need at that level changes.
Right. And you don't want to get comfortable. And then depending on who you're surrounding yourself with, you're curious and you want to learn more, right?
Mhm.
So I know I got into my life insurance policy because a coworker told me about it, and that was him educating me. Now I tell everybody, like, you don't got life insurance? Like,
Why?
everybody should have life insurance,
Why?
and not just the one you get from your job.
No, and not just the $10,000 burial insurance. No, we're not talking about that one.
What you gonna do with $10,000? Anyway, so definitely prioritize financial education. Second thing is living below your means. So I know the first episode we talked a lot about keeping up with the Joneses. Like you have to live within your means. So just because you can, like I could have gone out and got the Mercedes that I really, really, really liked. But I said that is someone's rent payment. Maybe not in the DMV, but somebody's rent payment. I don't care if it's in Alabama, Mississippi. That is somebody's rent payment, and in my mind, could not conceptualize it, right?
Mhm.
And though I could afford it, I knew what I paid for the car I really wanted. I didn't really want the Mercedes, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't something I was looking for. Like I had the car I wanted and it was crashed. So I looked at it like I have a working vehicle. I can drive my Honda, right?
Yeah.
And then I started talking to because it ended up being around the time I needed to talk to my financial advisor. And I'm like, I'm getting all of this money back in my account. My insurance went down because I had insurance on two cars, and then I didn't have to pay a car note, and then I didn't have to pay to put gas in the truck. I'm putting gas in a Honda now.
Yeah.
So like living below your means,
I love it here.
I love it. And, like I really, really love it. Once you get through that point of like not having it, then you get it, and then you go through your phase of like I want to buy this purse and go do things,
Yes.
and you get to the point where you're very comfortable and you just want to grow your finances. You really realize like some of these things are just things, right? And you have to think, is this a great financial decision for me, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's really lifestyle inflation, right? or
Yes, we
or
talked about
yeah,
that
that's
lifestyle inflation.
lifestyle inflation. Um, but I love the fact that now that I'm more financially literate than I've ever been, I am obsessed with investing. And now I don't see my money just go out. Like all of my money pretty much has an assignment. And it
Mm.
might be it might be travel. But
But that's an investment. Like when you travel, I totally believe traveling changes your mindset, especially when you travel all over the world. Like I know
absolutely.
you've been to Europe and places like that, and I've been to Europe now, Asia, Europe, Asia, and Africa. I got 2 more continents to go to,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's definitely changed my mind.
Oh yeah, because it's that vision again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once you see a different way of life, once you see the way they live. Number one, if it's a kind of a downgrade, you feel grateful and gratitude for what you have.
Absolutely.
And when it's an upgrade, like I went to Dubai, it was like I ain't doing enough.
And right, I need to get it together.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely living below our means. Me and my husband, we meal prep every single Sunday. Even though we've been, good stewards of our finances, my husband is probably the only person that still brings lunch to work.
I love it.
He brings lunch to work, and if they don't have a microwave, he brings a microwave from home or buys one so
Not
that he
the
can heat up his food.
microwave.
Yeah, because he works in construction. He's a plumber,
Yeah.
so they don't always have a yes.
I love it.
Mhm,
That's
mhm. And he talks to the other guys because he's been in that industry for over 20 years, and he talks to some of those young guys because the food truck will pull up, and if you want that burrito, it's $16
yeah.
with a drink and some chips.
There's
And they do it
no
every
dollar
single
million.
day. And he's just like, no, I'm not changing my lifestyle.
Because that definitely adds up. And I think you can have the nice things. Like, so now that I have a little bit more money than when I was making 33,000, I've definitely, and you can tell me how you travel because you may travel a little different than me. I've definitely have upgraded and gotten first class and gotten business class when I've gone overseas, but I've used my points for that.
Yeah, I haven't gone first class.
Use your points, child.
I haven't gone first. But the farther I go back in the aisle, the more I want to be in the front.
Listen,
did you say ours was aisle 28, row 28? Oh no.
When I got stuck in London for 2 days, I was out 58. Okay. But I think for me, like when I travel, like when I go on vacation, I never book first class, right?
Mhm.
So this is a way I can live below my means. I
Yes.
get whatever is
Show us.
live below my means, but still in first class. If I feel like being in first class, it's always when I'm going somewhere. I want the free everything. I want to get on the flight first. I want to do all those things. It just, it helps with my, I don't necessarily have travel anxiety because I travel a lot, but sometimes I can't have travel anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Like when I went to Africa and I traveled to Africa by myself, I had a little anxiety, right? But I made it through. But at the end of the day, when you book your flight, I book my flight, and then I look to see what the first class options are closer to when it's time to fly out. So for instance, I'm going to a conference, bought the ticket with a flight credit because I stay with a flight credit. So I had a flight credit, so didn't purchase that. I used the flight credit I already had from another trip. And to upgrade is going to be $61 to first class, right?
I'm taking mental notes.
One way first class. I'm not doing it because I'm going with my mom and my cousin, and I just don't want them to feel like I'm in first class. Usually I do that when I'm traveling alone.
But $61.
But
yes.
also, I don't have to use my $61. I can use my point. All I have to do is transfer my points to that airline to be able to purchase that first class upgrade.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna have to look into my
Okay. Also, another way, if you have an American Express, I'm going to hip everybody. If you have an American Express Platinum, I can only talk about Platinum and Gold. If you have an American Express, you're automatically upgraded. You're automatically upgraded when you go to hotels. When you book through American Express Travel, you're automatically upgraded. So I'm not paying extra to leave the hotel at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I'm not paying extra to do X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
One thing. Another thing, I got Marriott Bonvoy. Bonvoy just had a trip, and my friend wanted to come, and I was like, how many points you got? She was like, I got some points. She transferred points to me, so we ended up combining our points together to get a free trip for 3 days.
Where are my friends with? Listen.
So you can upgrade your lifestyle, but you just need to know how to do it and not always use your cash to do it. Next thing, what's the next thing?
Their network becomes their net worth.
I mean, that's self-explanatory, right?
No.
No,
It's not. You know what? I
Oh.
see it too many times.
Oh, just
I see too many times that you keep going back to the same friends. You keep going back to the same friends and asking for their opinion on a business idea
okay.
because you're comfortable there.
Oh no,
And
I don't do that.
you had to
Oh,
exactly.
no.
But no, it's been a lot, and I
Yeah.
see myself do that. Go back to my friends and ask about a business idea. But those friends, they haven't opened a business yet. So a lot of what they have, because they haven't opened up a business, they have fear about you opening up one.
And they
So
will
when
speak
you're
their fears
network,
into you.
yes, they will. So when you network in a place that isn't going where you're going, or
Mhm.
you network in a place where they haven't even seen the vision, God gave you the vision, right? So yes, get out of that network. Change your network. And some people do not realize it, and that's where they die. Their vision dies.
Their vision. I mean, because
It
your
does, yeah.
network is truly your net worth, right?
Yeah.
So when I got into business as a real estate agent, I never knew this is the career that I wanted to go. I mean, that I was going to go in. I wanted to go in it when I was 17. I just didn't know it was going to happen at 30. I didn't even know I built a network. So I had a network. I ended up going to college out here. I went to Suitland High School. So I went to schools local, go Rams. I went to Towson, go Tigers. Then I went to University of Maryland for my master's degree. So I stayed very local for school.
Mhm.
So I had that group of people. I played football. I played kickball. I've done a lot in my 40 years. And so I was able to build this network. So by the time I got my real estate license, I'm just telling all these people in my network that I'm
Mhm.
selling houses. I didn't really start selling houses of people I didn't know. Well, actually, my first house I sold was someone I didn't know, but I knew her friend who referred her to me.
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of times people want to go back and like, oh, I don't want to leave my homies. Like hustle
Yeah.
hard. What's it? Hustle harder, hustle smarter.
Mhm.
50 Cent talks about this a lot about who you surround yourself with. The more you go into creating your business or creating your wealth, the more people you have to surround yourself around, right? If
Yeah.
I don't know anything about developments, right? If I want to learn about developments, then I need to go talk to someone who's a developer, right?
Exactly.
If I don't know anything about credit, like when I got into real estate, I didn't know what your credit score made of. I just knew you need to pay your bills on time. Literally, this is all I knew, right? And so I was able to network. The first thing my first broker told me to do when I got into real estate is he told me not to network with real estate agents, not to
Mm-mm.
call your clients,
You are the real estate.
he told me find lenders.
Yes.
He said find 3 lenders, learn everything you know
That's
about
it.
lending. So when you learn and you just go out of your way to network with
Mhm.
people, and people are always like, well, I don't know those people. You gotta go
Duh.
find them.
That's the point.
That's the whole point. You gotta go
Mhm.
find a network that's gonna get you to where you wanna be.
Yeah, and I think that's also important, especially in any business. You can go where the opportunity is.
Right.
Sometimes we think that, and we do need to build that brand. We do need to attract those people, but we attract those people by going to places where the opportunity already exists. The reason you want to network with more entrepreneurs who make a certain amount of money or have this certain avatar, right,
Yeah.
is because you know where their mindset is. So this is your new network. You got to network up. Network up. Too many times we try to pull everybody. We're networking down. You can only grow by networking up.
Well, I have a little a different opinion, not necessarily different, but like
Mhm.
more to that. So I
Okay.
think you should network up. I think you should network on the same level, and I think you should bring up, right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I know one of the first year I was able to cross the threshold to pass the 10 million mark. I had a mentor who was mentoring me.
Mhm.
I had a friend who we would go out and mastermind and work together. Then I had another agent that was under me that I used to mentor once a week.
Yeah.
So I had a mentor, I had a mentee, then I had somebody that was like we were kind of on the same level, business wise. And to me, to me that's so helpful
It
in
is.
life because I've learned like I didn't know what a digital card was. The person who told me about a digital card had never sold a house a day in her life. Like never sold a house. Like you can learn from. To me, I feel like you can learn from everyone, and I
Yeah.
think you need to have that mix of people in your life,
Mhm.
to be able to learn, to grow and give back. Because I feel like giving back helps you in so many ways more so than also helping another person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
And it helps you be a leader.
definitely. Next thing is they prioritize system and processes. I'm going to tell you I didn't have systems and processes. So
No.
you tell me how you started in the entrepreneur world, and did you have systems? Did you have processes?
So when I started, absolutely not.
Okay.
I think our old broker, I feel like they kind of helped me put some systems into place because it just came with the platform.
Right.
But some of these systems, I had some systems. Well, some areas of the career didn't have any system at all, and I didn't notice that until I got a coach. And once I got a coach, it was just like, okay, you running this thing like a hobby, you need to be running it like a business. Businesses have systems, and that's the only way to scale. Even last year, I was able to kind of scale out of my day-to-day real estate where I hired some transaction coordinator. I have a buyer's agent, and she also does my listings. The last 10 houses that I've sold, I've never met the client, and I've never seen the house step foot in it. That came from systems. And once I learned systems and how valuable they are, and this is why this is one of the things that the wealthy do, is that if you don't have systems, you will never scale yourself out of the business. Maybe you don't want to leave your business, but what about when you do have an accident, right?
Yeah.
You just went through that. You got to make sure that your systems can maintain your business.
Listen, I had a concussion. And when I say my systems were still running behind the scene, luckily I had that, because when I say I had my third concussion last year. So it was a lot of like really just trying to get that together and going to physical therapy, going to the chiropractor, but I had systems and processes in place that I didn't miss a beat. Like I was surprised I was still able to, do almost 13 million in real estate last year, having a concussion and, literally going through it for about a good 6 months.
Yeah.
So last year was like very difficult, and I feel like I wasn't able to do what I was able to do without those systems. And I know when I got into the business, and similar to you, not until I got that coach, was I able to understand that I was running something, but it wasn't a business. When you work for the government, then they have SOPs, then they have policies and procedures and all of those things. You have none of those things. You just going with the flow, and just hoping everything, just throwing things at the wall and hoping it sticks.
Yeah.
And then I think constantly, kind of going back to like who moved my cheese, updating those systems and processes.
I'm changing this
as things ship. Like I do that all the time.
I'm changing my CRM right now.
Okay.
So that is robust, but it's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's a necessary one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, systems they need updates too.
Yes, awesome. And if you don't know someone like I was confused. Hire someone. If you don't know how to do systems and processes,
I'm still confused.
Call me, girl.
Like
I've learned so much being an entrepreneur that I feel like I can help people now with systems and processes, because I had no idea. Because I didn't really equate it back to the SOPs and policies and procedures that I got when I worked for the government. And I actually was on some task force helping create policies and procedures. I'm like, this is nothing but policies and procedures.
Yeah. And there's still pieces of my business that like this needs a system.
Mm-hmm.
So once you see yourself working on it too much and you can't do the other things that generate income, you need a system for that.
You need a system.
And you may need a coach to tell you that you need that.
Yeah, you need to delegate it.
Yeah. And then the last thing that the habits of the wealthy is failing forward. I have something in our business, we call it staying confused and stumbling forward. In this new industry in finance, I became a client, right? I became a client. I had my financial products, my mutual funds, my life insurance, all of that. But I didn't understand, of course, how to teach it to somebody else yet.
Mm-hmm.
I just could tell them my real life experience, which is part of teaching. And yet it wasn't enough, right?
Right.
So when I actually got into the business on the side where I can offer this to people, I was very confused. Not only was I very confused, I was still running my real estate business and I was pregnant. So I had a lot of stuff going on, but I had mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me what to do, I go try it. Told me what to do, go try it. And I stumbled forward and I stayed confused. And what took me maybe 6 years in real estate to make 6 figures, I did in 10 months.
Oh, nice.
In finance.
Mm.
Yes. So, and I can't say that, in that 10 months, I wasn't a pro at the end. I was still failing forward.
We always going to be failing forward.
We always going to be failing forward. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. So yes.
And I think 50 Cent talked about that. I know we're gonna keep talking about his book probably.
So
He talked about that. Like we only see people's highlight reels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I even tried to make myself more transparent online because I do try to keep some level of privacy for myself, but like trying to be more transparent, even talking about me having, filing bankruptcy, that was something that was big for me, like Ruby. I'm Scorpio, we like to keep it in. But at the end of the day, I feel like I have created habits that I know that as long as I keep doing these activities, something's going to come for that, right?
Yeah.
And if I fail, now is kind of like when I learned when I went to a conference, they say hire fast, fire slow. No, hire slow, fire fast, right? And that's with anything in my life. So if I feel like something's failing or is not producing what it needs to produce, I definitely give it time. I'm not like, oh, this one thing is not happening. I need to move on. But learning to move on and not sitting in that failure and finding that positive in that negative, right? So I've had a lot of failures that people probably don't even know about in real estate. Like I went through a lot feeling like I failed not having my team anymore. Like it felt like a divorce. I felt like a failure. Like I felt like I built something that I really wanted and it just wasn't able to continue for the reasons that we're not gonna talk about on the podcast. But at the end of the day, that felt like a failure. And I could have stayed in that failure, but I was like, no, I need to change. I need to do something. And so you have to learn to not stay in that failure and find every reason to win. All right. So we talked about 5 habits of wealthy people. We want you to be one of those wealthy people. So now we have actionable steps to help you create those habits.
So the first one is going to be build a schedule. Make sure that you use a calendar, okay? We're not just going to write this down on a loose leaf paper. It needs to be on your calendar. If it's not on your calendar, it does not exist. Put it on your calendar, or else you leave room for someone else to steal that time. So definitely build your schedule using a calendar.
And everything needs to be on your calendar. Your budget day needs to be on your calendar. Your workouts need to be on your calendar. Your date nights need to be on your calendar. Literally everything needs to be on your calendar.
Yes.
And it could be a handheld calendar. It could be a Google calendar. Whatever calendar works for you.
And you're going to use.
Yes. Like I use calendars and timers. Like that's the way I get everything accomplished in life.
Yeah.
Next thing is intentionally force yourself to be uncomfortable.
Ooh,
so oftentimes the reasons why we're not creating these habits is because we're coming from a place of being uncomfortable. We're not working out every day because we don't feel like getting up, going downstairs, putting the clothes on, and working out. The bed feels warmer, longer, and I just want to get extra night's sleep, right? Even though we feel amazing after we work out, the uncomfortable feeling of actually getting to that point. So we have to push past the point of being uncomfortable. And that's why, like, Heal Your Life, you can heal your life is such a great book because it really teaches you how to be uncomfortable. And that's why it starts with your mindset.
Yes. And then the third action step that we're going to give you to do is going to be identify your network. So this is just a time to remind you to check your inventory. A lot of times we miss opportunities because we don't realize some of the seeds that we planted before. Your network is the people who you went to college with. It is the people from your sorority or your fraternity. It is the person that you see and you admire. Yeah. It is those networking events that you should be putting on your calendar with people who are like-minded like you. So make sure that you're checking inventory. The people that need to go, they got to go if they're not in line with the goals, and that's okay. And the people who you have yet to meet, maybe because you were intimidated, that's part of getting uncomfortable too. Talk to that person who inspires you and make sure that you somehow weave your way into that network where you're around like-minded people that all want the same thing that you want.
And I would say, like, in my class that I teach how to make six figures as a millennial agent, one of the things I talk about, one of the pillars we talk about is networking. And it's super important. And I know, I was blessed enough to be from around here and be like super active and involved in a lot in the DMV. And that was how I was able to build my network. But I was in those spaces, but I also made those connections, if that made sense.
Absolutely.
So it's not just I played football. Everybody knew Lil Mama on the football field. Not because I knew I was going to be a real estate agent. It's just my personality, right? I loved football. I was on a football field several days out of the week. That's what I love to do. So when I tell people to create your network that you may not already have, find things that you love to do.
Yes.
We're not saying go network and just go to these meetups and just say, oh, this is a networking event. No, like if you feel like it's hard for you to network and meet people, literally it's so easy for me to meet people. But before it was that way, because I was not that girl that talked to everybody. So before I got to be the person I am now, I just was talking to everybody based on things I liked.
Exactly.
I played football. I like that. I'm in a sorority. We talk about sorority things. Yep. And then you just happen to find out now I'm a real estate agent.
Exactly.
So, if you don't have a network, there's meetup.com, there's Eventbrite, there's so many different opportunities in whatever city that you're in. Facebook groups. Like if you like knitting, like I have a friend that loves to knit. Like she makes scarves and hats. Love her. Never get into that. Not anytime soon. But that's a whole network of people that you can relate to. I can't go in that group and talk about, because y'all talking
about knitting. I can't relate.
Everybody's talking about to sell at Joann Fabrics. I don't know even where the Joann Fabrics is. So and like we talked about before, if you want to find an excuse for something, you will find an excuse. When you want to find a way to win, you will find a way to win. So find that way to win.
Absolutely. Yep. So that was our action steps. But now, we are avid readers. Like I'm newly avid. I like podcasts, but I'm moving over to books, and I like that even better. So the books that we have for this one is another book that we recommended in episode 1, Atomic Habits, James Clear. Read the book. Definitely understand what it takes to be disciplined and consistent. And we're going to come back with some more titles because we've been brainstorming.
I just forgot to write it down. 12-week year.
Oh, yes.
So when there was a shift, and there was a big shift in the market, and there was also a shift with me personally, not like personal things, it's just I felt a shift in my business. Like Shift is a really good book to read, definitely a really good book, but I felt like I needed to make my goals smaller, if that makes sense. So you have these, I do the business planning clinic in October, I plan for the next year, but then, sometimes you forget about it, or you need to change what you had planned for October because something new happened in July.
Yeah.
The 12-week year helps you break down everything you need to do. So if it makes it hard to make a habit to get something done in December, start with the 12-week year. Because you are now making your 12 weeks into a year. So you're going to accomplish things faster because you're not waiting to do things. Because we try to create these habits, and because we don't necessarily like have something to actually do, we don't necessarily do it. So when you have the 12-week year, it really puts things in overdrive, to me.
Yeah.
In overdrive. Have you read it?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it just creates a level of urgency.
Yeah.
Like something's just, you plan it out for the whole 12 months, like you said, but things happen in between where things should be shifting. And you might find a breakthrough earlier in the year that you was trying to push to get done in December.
Right.
But it's going to happen in May.
And it helps you track those habits to get to those goals, because you have those goals, but you have to also create the habits that are going to help you accomplish those goals. So, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to leave you guys with 3 quotes for this episode. You can go ahead and start with the first one.
The work you are doing is working on you. That's your quote.
It is my quote, but you felt it, though.
I did feel it.
The work you are working on is working on you. Sometimes, I tell everybody, you got to fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the process, because you don't understand who you transform into when you're going through the process. When people who win the lottery, right? They didn't really go through the process of having to earn that money. So when they do have it, they mishandle it. and then they're back to square one. But in the process, if you learn the financial discipline, if you learned some of those habits, if you understand how to manage it, that all happens in the process. So don't skip the process. The work that you are working on is working on you. Wait, the work you're doing
is working on you.
The work you're doing is really working on you. It's about being in love with the process.
And the next one is another one of your quotes.
Oh.
Everything you are looking for is on the other side of what you have not become. So,
Yes.
and that definitely resonates with me because one of the things that I've always told myself is you are lost right now because you've never been here before. And you have to create new habits, new mindsets to get you through this point to become what you want to become. So, like, if it feels uncomfortable getting into finances and learning how to be financially free because you've never been there, right?
Yes.
Like, that is the reason. So everything you're looking for is on the other side of who you are yet to become.
Yes. And our last quote is, perfection is not the prerequisite to success.
Perfection. I mean, that's been one of my sayings. Perfection is not the prerequisite. Yeah, that's one of my sayings. Perfection is not the prerequisite to success because at the end of the day, no one has ever accomplished anything by being perfect. Everyone's fell forward. Like, there's so many people, there's so many stories. Like, Vera Wang started making dresses at 40 or something. I don't know. You seen those memes when it's like, Oprah didn't get this into 36 and this person didn't do this into this age. And it's just like, and no one got to that point because they were perfect at 21, right? So you have to understand that you're going to fail.
Yeah, and I think that really has been what really held me back. I wanted everything to be perfect before I did it. I wanted to look this way. I wanted to sound this way.
A lot of people
be this way, and then it never gets done. So another quote is, "It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to get done."
Listen, because a lot of people, they won't pull the trigger on things. Like I'm a big implementer. Like, a lot of people are visionaries and like, give me your vision, we gonna make it happen. Like, I'm action.
Yeah, and to be
we had a conversation. I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, we gonna plan this. If this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do. So I always tell people, you really have to understand that no one's perfect. You're not going to ever be perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect. Only you have to learn from your mistakes in order to grow and move forward.
And just take the first step, too.
Take the first step. And you take the first step because you're listening to us.
Yes. So this is episode 2. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Abundance Unlocked.
See you guys soon.